Shalom Akim, Kahalal, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakodash. It's double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and Rubel, and peace and salutation to the Akim around the world that pushes truth to the four corners of the earth.
In Russia, as Pentagon officials game out a response to Russian aggression in Europe, Vladimir Putin is now making some serious moves in the Caribbean. Our Brian Todd is all over the story for us. Give us the latest, Brian.
Wolf, tonight Putin is on America's doorstep with nuclear-capable bombers that can fly at twice the speed of sound. It's a bold move right out of the Cold War as the Russian president tries to establish a military foothold near American shores. A Russian bomber with an impressive wingspan touches down at America's doorstep. The Tu-160 has to deploy parachutes to slow down. Russian pilots, decked out in helmets and orange jumpsuits, climb out to a hero's welcome. Two of these bombers, nicknamed Blackjacks, are in Venezuela tonight. Vladimir Putin has deployed these warplanes along with...
Imagine, I from the country of Trinidad and Tobago, which is not very far from Venezuela. You could actually take a boat, and a small boat, a fishing boat, and go across to Venezuela, first it close. You understand? And imagine these are the things that are going on right in the vicinity of Trinidad, and majority of people in Trinidad don't even know, and for the rest that know, don't even care.
Two support aircraft to conduct exercises over the Caribbean with Venezuelan forces. A worrisome development for Washington, considering the capability of the Russian bombers, which can fly twice the speed of sound.
This bomber was designed to do both high altitude and low altitude penetration of airspace with nuclear weapons, to deliver nuclear weapons on target. This aircraft was designed to be an offensive capable weapon to get into our airspace during the Cold War.
The deployment comes on the heels of Putin's recent military aggressions against Ukraine on land and sea, and countermoves by U.S. forces. Analysts say Putin is sending an unmistakable signal to the United States tonight.
He's clearly trying to send a message to the United States.
But we know right now the U.S. with Putin and Venezuela, not in leagues right now. Right now, Venezuela siding with Putin, because both of them ditching the petrodollar, which is from the U.S., and starting to use their own means of purchasing currency. You understand? They're coming up with their own currency to actually use, so they're going away from the petrodollar. So right now, Venezuela had a side with Putin and Russia to be able to have some defense, because any country that actually go away from the petrodollar, the U.S. does eventually go and take them over and make them change their mind.
States that he can play in our backyard, and that Russia maintains significant military capabilities.
Another concern tonight is the Cold War-style alliance of two strongmen who are both antagonists of the U.S. Putin and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, who visited Moscow just last week. Experts say U.S. military and intelligence officials are closely watching the Putin-Maduro partnership and how it may work against American interests close to American shores.
They have a close military relationship. Russia does provide Venezuela with significant military support. Usually with these close military relationships, a close intelligence relationship is part of that.
The Russian deployment comes as Venezuela is deep in crisis, triggered by plummeting oil prices, crippling economic mismanagement, and violent protests against Maduro. U.S. officials tonight are skewering Putin and Maduro. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo tweeting, "The Russian and Venezuelan people should see this for what it is. Two corrupt governments squandering public funds and squelching liberty and freedom while their people suffer."
No.
The spokesman fired back.
This is where the hypocrisy of America is coming in. This is why I can't stand to hear them talk sometimes. We hear the answer back that Putin had.
It's probably not very appropriate to make such statements when you were a country with a military budget so big that half of it could feed the whole continent of Africa.
Really and truly, America does spend most of the money behind the military, when really and truly has so many people who going through hardship in the country. So really and truly, they are not ones to talk. But you know how America is operated. They had to discredit other people to make them look like the wrong ones, when really and truly the U.S. just don't want anybody with a military might close to their level. They like to be the top dogs.
Say none of this will stop Vladimir Putin from once again trying to gain a Russian foothold in America's hemisphere.
Putin has made it very clear through his actions and through his commentary that he intends to reestablish Russia to the level of influence of the Soviet Union.
Now, just a short time ago, Venezuela's foreign minister leveled his own broadsides at the U.S., calling Mike Pompeo's tweet, quote, disrespectful and cynical. He pointed out that it was President Trump who publicly threatened military intervention against Venezuela. Now, analysts say we can expect military cat-and-mouse games to continue while those Russian bombers are deployed in Venezuela. They say U.S. forces will almost assuredly send out surveillance planes, possibly.
But we can then see that the US not going and just try to attack Venezuela just like that, because they know that Venezuela now in league with Russia, and Korea is not two countries that you want to interfere with right now.
Vessels to shadow the Russians and Venezuelans. Pentagon officials will only tell CNN that they are monitoring these exercises. Wolf?
And Brian, that will potentially give the Venezuelans and the Russians some intelligence of their own, right?
Absolutely, Wolf. Experts say as U.S. planes and ships monitor these joint Russian-Venezuelan exercises, and the Russians and Venezuelans, well, they're going to gather intelligence on the Americans, on their spying and shadowing capabilities, and try to figure out.
So, as you can see through the signs, it had different nations upon nations starting to gather against the Great War. You understand? Bit by bit.
How to evade them. This is the kind of cat and mouse that goes on, but it can turn dangerous in a blink.
Anyway, with that, say shalom.